first 6 rounds, I thought it was a good fight, and then he got a bit ugly, and Lawrence had to almost like revert to life a little bit to win. I thought he was a little bit sloppy, fell in a little bit too much, got a little bit tired towards the back end, but I think that he needed that. You know, he needed good rounds against an elite cruiserweight, because it's probably what's been lacking. The last few performances, it hasn't gone deep into the fight, and he's looked really good and brutal. But I feel like the back end he survived, but he got clumsy and used his attributes, which is his strength on the inside, to lock Cieslak up and beat him convincingly. And I thought Cieslak was very tough. You know, he was hurt badly in the first round. The 5th round, I think he fractured a couple of ribs as well along the way. But you know, it was a good learning experience for Lawrence.
How important all fights like this? He's going to move up to heavyweight at some point. Also, Briedis was here, so that
yeah. I mean, I think that sometimes the fans don't like to see the back end of, you know, particularly those last sort of five rounds. But you've got to be in the ring, and you've got to be in situations with elite guys like that to be able to fight and beat the guys like Mairis Briedis and guys at that level. He came in too heavy really to camp, and I think he probably lost a little bit too much weight. I think he struggled in the last few rounds of that fight, and it's inevitable that he's going to move to heavyweight, because he's probably going to end up being 16, 17 stone up at heavyweight. But I just believe he can unify, and I think he can beat the other cruiserweights, and hopefully Mairis Briedis can be one of those guys.
I'm looking online, and a lot of people are talking about that ring walk. Anthony Joshua, is he Adesanya? Yeah. That's big.
Yeah.
Big for his profile.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously he's managed by AJ, and I think that it was. I think that Lawrence, you know, sometimes he gets a little bit of unfair criticism coming through, but the fans are quite. It's no brutal. They're quite vocal, and for many fights in his early part of his career, particularly the Matty Askin fight, the Chamberlain fight, he was out of his depth. So he uses his attributes to win fights. And tonight, after not doing that for 3 or 4 fights, he just had to do it in the back end, because Cieslak was very dangerous. He didn't stop trying. He was quite dirty. They both were, and it was a very physical fight.
Just good on Jordan Gill's dramatic win.
Amazing. I mean, Jordan Gill perforated both eardrums. He could not stand up. And Dave Caldwell basically said to him, just put your leg on the turnbuckle and don't move, and just try and find a shot. And it had to be one shot, because if he hurt him, he couldn't move. He couldn't stand up. And in fact, if you watch it back, when he knocked out Gurphy, he fell over himself and he went through the ropes. It was just, you know, I was thinking they should stop the fight, really, because he was just taking punishment. And Dave just said to him, just try and find the one shot. And it was probably the most remarkable thing I've ever seen.
It's got to be up there with Danny Williams and Harrison when they.
Yeah, but I mean, Audley had an injured pec, but Jordan couldn't stand up. Couldn't stand up. I mean, I was thinking, when he first started in the corner, I was saying to Chisora, who was next to me, what's he been watching you? Because that's what Dell does. But Dell does it more for a laugh. You know, whereas Jordan Gill just could not stand. Couldn't stand up. The only chance he had in that fight was to land one haymaker and knock him spark out. And he'd done it. It was unbelievable.
He's not a known puncher.
No, I know. But it wasn't like during the fight, he looked like he was going to lay him out flat. And Gurphy's got to be thinking, what have I done? It's a bit like, remember when Hay boxed Bellew? You know, like Bellew was going in, it didn't have, and all Hay could do, he could move. So amazing.
Galal Yafai tonight making his debut. Not many people get to win a belt on their debut. You spoke beforehand about Canelo undercard potentially next. Is that what you'd like?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to use the attributes that we've got, which is we've got a global platform and we do huge shows around the world. And if someone's going to be a global star, and he's the guy who's got ability to win world championships, you know, I think within 12 months, they're the kind of cards that he should be fighting on, whether that's Madison Square Garden, whether that's MGM Grand. It was a brilliant performance and a really good fight. Like Bautista, I was thinking to myself after 2 or 3 rounds, I'm not sure this was the greatest decision, because he took a few, but he was calm, his footwork was great, his shot selection was great, And it was the perfect fight actually, and a perfect performance.
Has his stocks risen then? Because I'm pretty sure beforehand you said maybe 6-7 fights until a world title fight, but now you're saying maybe the end of the year?
Yeah, all we know is he passed that test and we're ready to move forward and step up again. If he struggled a little bit in that fight, you'd say, well, let's calm down. But he dealt with it very easy. And the thing that impressed me the most was his fitness. You know, he wasn't even breathing.
Just got to ask about the atmosphere as well.
Amazing.
Incredible.
I would like to say that I'm a genius and I picked Cieslak because I knew we'd get an atmosphere like that. Now I knew we'd have some Polish fans in there, but I think we had like 5,200 people in there, and it was busy during the night. And then all of a sudden I got in the ring for the main event, turned around, there wasn't a seat left, but they must have all been in the bar. And I reckon there was 2,500 Polish in there. And it was a brilliant atmosphere. And actually, to be honest with you, the fight got a little bit boring in the closing stages, and without that atmosphere, you would have really noticed it a lot more. And I thought the fans were brilliant, even for the Fowler fight. You know, it was really good.
Any plans on bringing more Polish fighters over?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's what you want in an atmosphere. I mean, you forget it's a Sunday.
How do you think it worked for Sunday? Have you seen any figures yet?
I mean, we were a bit unlucky with the football because
it went to penalties.
59-58 on penalties or something. Went on to about 8 o'clock.
People would have turned over just before Jordan Gill.
And I was trying to get the zone just to hold Gill because, but you know, I think from a viewing perspective, I think Sunday evening boxing works. From a fan's perspective, we got lucky with the Polish fans tonight because of the atmosphere, but it is a different kind of vibe. I mean, I love you guys, but it's 11:06 on a Sunday. I do want to get home.
Eddie, just a quick word on Asia, who was in the building earlier. Obviously, the current situation in Ukraine, is there any news on potential rematch, etc.?
No, I mean, I keep getting asked this question, and I keep saying, I feel a bit bad saying, as far as I'm concerned, we're moving on with the fight. Like, no one's spoken to me from Team Usyk to say there could be a problem, but there's bigger things on their plate right now, I guess, quite frankly. So we respect that. You know, it's an emotional time for those guys in that country. We're preparing still for May, or early June, and I expect to finalise a date with Alex Krasuk as planned over the next probably 1 or 2 weeks.
Just a quick question of last night as well. Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall, obviously massive controversy. Everyone's saying it was a disgrace, to be honest. What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
It happens too often, and it's not the British Boxing Board of Control. I mean, look, I feel like they're an outstanding commission. We see this with international judges, with governing body judges, but we also see it with the British Boxing Board of Control. People need to be held accountable. Anyone in a job who performs badly is held accountable. So it should be no different in that scenario when the future and the dreams of an individual are in your hands. So Tony Bell, you made a good point that, you know, he says, you know, we get our faces punched in for 36 minutes, and after the fight, everyone's sticking mics in out, wanting to know what happened, why did we do this, why did we do this? Yet they're protected to a point where they don't have to say anything. And the board, unfortunately, and yet, you know, you respect it as well. They like to protect their officials. They don't want them in front of the media. They would like to stand up for them and say, look, judging is, you know, it's opinions. But when everybody gets it wrong, and when the whole world scores a fight one way, and 3 people score it the other way, 2 people particularly, especially 114, 111, just doesn't make sense. So you got a kid from Chorley, and they, I couldn't believe it. I only turned the fight on after 5 rounds, so I have to watch the fight back. But even from the 5th round, I had him winning the fight, and apparently he won the first 4 rounds. So, but at the same time, I'm watching the fight in the 11th round, thinking, I cannot believe Jack Catterall is about to become undisputed world champion, and they robbed him of that. And he should have woke up. And you can say, oh, he'll get another chance, but he'll never get a chance like that. He'll never get a chance to become undisputed again. He'll never get a chance to go to Scotland and win away. He'll never get the chance to earn the kind of money that he could have earned if the right decision was made. And boxing is one of the few sports where an official has a very, has a very big, it has such a huge part in the destiny of an athlete. Do you know what I mean? If you're running a race, if you're playing a game of football, yeah, it could be offside, it could not be. LBW, now we go to Hawkeye. But in boxing, a bad decision will ruin your legacy, and you know, And that's what we saw last night.
So what needs to be done then? Like, what do you think needs changing?
I think they need to be held accountable. I think we need to be speaking to these officials. Also, one of my concerns is and those 3 judges are good officials, by the way. But since I've been promoting boxing, they've always been there. And where is the new influx of officials? It's not something that young kids are going, do you know what, I want to be a boxing judge. But we need to bring new people into the sport, in my opinion, to officiate, because it's the same people all the time. Are they doing too many? Do they have too many opinions? You know, subconscious opinions. People talk about corruption, like total overlook, but sometimes an inability to score a fight correctly. But again, good officials, but they get it wrong. And when they get it wrong, because of what's on the line, and because how brutal the sport is, it magnifies the decision 100 times, like we've seen, upward. And it puts people off the sport, which is a terrible thing. So, we need to make a point of this to say, okay, we know that was wrong, and this is what we're doing to deal with it. Subject, further to people's opinions, we don't select judges, promoters. We don't have any ability to choose judges or have any decisions, or influx of influence over any decisions. But the Commission do, and the Commission has to be responsible for poor officiating, which we see last night.
You got Canelo and Bivol. You worked with Bivol obviously previously. What was your loyalty with in that fight?
I mean, I represent both guys, but it'd be very difficult not to do with Canelo Alvarez. Got a great relationship. My job is to give Bivol opportunities, which we've delivered in the biggest fight in boxing. I wish him all the best. It's a great fight.
Before today's bout, you were saying that Cieslak is one of the top cruiserweights. You still keep the same impression?
Yeah, because he took a lot from Okolie, especially to the body, and he kept on coming, kept on flying. I don't think many would have taken the right hands, the body shots that he took tonight and kept coming. So yeah, I believe he's one of the best cruiserweights in the world.
And in your opinion, we've probably seen one of the dirtiest fights in the recent years?
Dirty.
Dirty, yeah.
Yeah, pretty dirty. I mean, they were both at it, back of the head, but sometimes Okolie can hold too much, and at times Cieslak was also holding, because it was that kind of fight. But they were working on the inside. It was pretty dirty, a lot of punches after the bell as well, but there was a lot on the line, and Cieslak was always trying to win the fight.
But was this fight this necessary test that you waited for
Test? Yeah, it was actually, yeah. Because you need to beat guys like that, and Lawrence had to find a way to win, and sometimes it wasn't pretty, but that's one of his best attributes, is his strength on the inside. It's not always the most entertaining to watch, but sometimes when something gets tough, it's not just about being entertaining, it's about winning, and that was his way to win.
You were having a conversation with AJ during the fight. Was it related to the main event? Or
yeah,
was
we were talking about...
What was AJ saying about what he saw?
He was shouting, he wanted to see Lawrence knock him out, but just maintain the space, and don't wait with the right hand. Throw the right hand more, probably throw more combinations. But also, AJ felt that Cieslak was very tough, and especially in the last few rounds, took a lot of big right hands, and not many could have taken those right hands.
Was he happy with Lawrence's performance?
He was happy that he won.
Okay.
I think that we all accept it wasn't Lawrence's best performance, but it was also his toughest fight by far, and the toughest opponent of his career, and he won the fight fairly comfortably.
Thank you.
It wasn't pretty all the time, but he still beat a very good cruiserweight, convincing.
Obviously, we have Mairis Briedis was in the house tonight, and he's in his 30s now.
Yeah.
Going off of Lawrence's performance tonight, what can you take from that performance into a fight with Mairis Briedis?
He can take the experience. He can take the fact that he's gone 12 rounds with one of the best cruiserweights in the world, and I think that coming off, James, watch it down. And I think coming off, the Glowackman fight, I think the one thing that Lawrence hasn't yet done is fall elite cruiserweight after elite cruiserweight, and now he's starting to rack up the resume where he does that. And I think when you get thrown in against Briedis and these guys, that 12 rounds is going to be really, really important, and he's going to reflect back on that. And he had to tough it out, you know, and he's very strong. Like, as I said to you before, I was just saying, sometimes your best attribute is your ability to lock up an opponent. But when you're fighting these top guys, it's all very well saying, yeah, just knock him out. But you've got to win by any means necessary. And that's what you did in the second half of the fight tonight.
Lawrence, firstly, congratulations on your win tonight. Then congratulations. Would you agree that that was your toughest opponent up until now?
I would have to say, yeah, by a punch him out. I think he was very strong. You know what it is? I think it only hit me when I saw him in real life 4 weeks ago. So I was always training, you know what I mean? But I think when I heard it was Cieslak, I watched some of these fights when I landed this over. But when I saw him in person and felt the energy and the Polish support that he had, I knew, okay, it's a serious fight. So we really wrapped it up for the last 4 weeks. I'm always a professional, but he was strong, he was game, determined, and yeah, he really pushed me.
Coming into the arena, obviously there was a massive Polish support, you know, the roof was going off. How do you feel that impacted your performance tonight?
I don't think it impacted my performance. I think the credit for the performance, obviously, is both mine and my opponent. He, came game. I'm very used to hitting people. They go, I drop them, it's over. But he gritted it out, kept pushing, and then when it got to maybe round 7, 8, I started thinking, okay, this guy's not trying to go anywhere. So after, box, get some rounds under my belt. It was my first time. I think I haven't gone past 7 in like 3 years. So it was good to kind of, see round 7, see round 8, see round. Not good. I wish I got him out of there round 1 or round 5, but it was good to get that physical stuff. But I mean, I've listened to Shane since. He obviously expects more from me, I expect more from myself, but it's not every day you're going to go in and look spectacular. I'm still, and I hate experience stuff, I hate all that stuff. There's stuff I'm going to have to work on, and I'm working in the gym, so it's about going back, still world champion, still undefeated, 18 fights, and I'm, without being frank, I'm taking risk after risk after risk after risk. Since I was an amateur, I took the risk to get to Olympics, turn pro, British, Commonwealth, European world title, all under the spotlight, all against the best people I could fight. I mean, you could ask Eddie, never say no to a fight. There's so many easier fights I could have had where I would have gone in, looked spectacular, knock out round 1, right, keeping in the top 10 in my governing body. But we said, we'll take a proper hard fight and see where we're at and get some experience. So it was good. I'm an optimist and I'm a positive thinker, so I would say I'm happy you've got the 12 rounds, got some knockdowns, but there's stuff that needs to be worked on.
Eddie and Lawrence as well, I want to come to you first, Eddie. I know you're someone who likes to break out of the box. You did fight camp, you fight, there's a fight tonight on a Sunday. How far would it be, if ever, that you do something in Africa? Obviously we had 2 African champions walking him out tonight. Is that something you could ever think of?
Yeah, I think it's something that a lot of people would love to do. I can't speak for Lawrence, but I'm sure that would appeal to him. AJ as well has talked about it. Easier said than done at times, but yeah, I mean, that was a great walkout for Lawrence tonight. A lot of people talking about that, and I'm sure in the future it's something that you'd love to do.
Yeah, if you're asking me that question. Yeah, no, I think it's one of my main motivations is that the other African champions, I'm very living the moment of, I've won a world title, no big deal. There's so much more to life, However, when I get the connection with someone like AJ, Adesanya, Usman, these world-class world champions, it makes me feel like I'm part of an elite club. I feel something, so it gives me extra motivation. It was good because the Polish guys, they came out. What? I was watching Fowler's fight thinking, oh my goodness, and this is early. So when it got to the thing, even in the fight, I was hurting him and I could hear them, me, how, me, and I was thinking, and I could see him, see me, see him, and he was coming. So it was, for me, it was a great experience. I've had grudge matches, I've had headlines, I've had in front of 90,000, 60,000, I've had, this show. So I'm racking up a lot of experience. I think a lot of people, without being take a lot easier routes or a lot longer to get to world level and fight the type of competition that I've been trying to fight. So there's learning, but I've got so many natural attributes that allow me to just win fights. But there's, like, I want to go down as one of the best cruiserweights out of this country, and there's some people that the kind of performance I did today, there's no way that I can fight them and get away with certain stuff, do you know what I mean? Shane said it, I believe that. Eddie obviously as a promoter wants to see a bit more clean punches and people as fans. So there's stuff that I'm going to work on, but I'm a realist, and that's all I'm going to do is just strive to be better.
Shane, how did you assess Lawrence's performance tonight?
Yeah, I thought he was a little bit eager. He smuggled his work a little bit too much and just didn't jab enough. After he nailed him in the first round, he got hurt badly. He was looking for it too much. You know? But as the rounds went on, he started to maintain his distance, get his jab off a little bit more. He was timing the right hand a little bit, blocked him in the fifth. He struggled to snap out of certain things in the fight. That's something we need to work on.
Lawrence, after, I'm not sure what round it was, you were both hitting each other. Is everything cool between you two now?
Yeah, like I said, for me, in the heat of the moment, stuff happens, stuff said, stuff's done. I realised how much it meant to him. It's so, I have to be careful how I explain it, but it's like, for me, I'm so focused on like unifications, big moments, whatever else. It's like, I kind of just go into training, I'm training, but I'm so focused on like a Briedis and McGuigan or whatever. And you can't take your eyes off people like Cieslak, because he's coming to change his life. But it's a good experience for me to remember that, because I beat Baraki, good fashion, thinking boxing's easy. Beat my mandatory, boxing's easy. Then you get reminded, hold on a second, there's people out here who really are coming hungry, they're really coming determined. So I'm happy no major injuries, you know, no major slip-ups. There's so much stuff to be done, and I get to, as I said, live to fight another day.
Lawrence, before today's fight, you said that Cieslak is good and you have some special X factors.
Yeah.
So having in mind that we will have, supposedly, we'll have a unification bout with Briedis, what will be your X factor against Mairis?
Against Briedis, I think it will obviously be the same kind of stuff. Length, strength. I think Briedis will not adopt the same tactics because he likes to punch from mid-range. So he'll be believing in his power as well as I believe in my power. So we'll be exchanging more. I think Briedis has got really good feet, so it'll be good to get the back and forth. You like that? Yes, yes. He'll be okay, as he's here. So he's got really good feet, really good at taking the distance, going back. So it has to be a very, very different fight and very, very different kind of performance.
Lawrence,
Yeah.
whose idea was it to the ring walk with yourself, Anthony Joshua, Michal Cieslak? That's when the last 2 hours of the star power has been boosted. What kind of level you're on?
That's amazing. I wish I got the knockout. Do you know what I'm saying? I really do. I wish I knocked him out in the first or fifth. But for me, all of that stuff's extra. I enjoy life, I enjoy boxing, I enjoy that stuff. But ultimately, what's important is how I perform in the ring. Whose idea was it? It just happened. I mean, we all talk on social media. Asia are good friends. I mean, Starbender communicated for years via social media and stuff, and seen each other a couple of times. So he just happened to be in England at the time, and I felt it was important because of the kind of energy that I get from Poland. I thought, you know, it's good for Nigeria to show that we're here too.
Also, will it ever be a dream of yours to represent or fight in Nigeria, of course, your family, your country? Have you some good ideas?
Yeah, as we said earlier, logistically it's about making it make sense. It's definitely a major motivation of mine. So I believe it is possible, and I believe it is something that would go down amazing. It would be great if we could have, you know, AJ, maybe even a mix of martial arts and boxing somehow. I don't know how Eddie and Dana White or whoever would do it, but it would be a major moment, and hopefully he gets me an easier fight so I can get a knockout.
Thank you very much.
Mairis here right now, how realistic is this fight actually going to happen? Is negotiations going to start immediately? Or?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's all about timing. I mean, he's got a fight up and tired, and then the fight is April maybe. Jay up and tired. Good fight.
I don't know, I'm already.
Yeah, April, and then we'd love to do it. You know, we want to keep Lawrence active. I think one of the things was obviously it's not been too bad September to February, but we want to close the gap a little bit. He needs to be fighting 3 times a year. So if we can pick up McGuigan, do Lamar and Eagle Rob winner, we'd love to do that. But I feel like this is the biggest fight in the division. So I know that Lawrence is going to be moving to heavyweight, but we'd like to fight a great champion and Briedis is the most credible of the champions.
Yeah, I think it's close. I think the fact that he's here today, hopefully it's not for clout, it's for serious business, and we'll get to work. I think he's got a good fight coming up next. I managed to get through my good fight, so if he can, I believe it's a fight that needs to happen. He's been in there with some amazing fighters, the Dorts against the Uziks, and he's someone that I watch coming up. But I believe if I'm going to start my career in the division, this is the type of guy I have to beat.
This might sound crazy, but Eddie could potentially make it happen. That third Canelo fight, could it potentially be this guy if he wins, cleans up at cruiserweight?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, I think Lawrence would love to fight with Canelo. Everybody would. It's a different.
I mean, money is money. I can't see that now.
Okay, well, when that comes around, I'll tell you again.
Lawrence, you mentioned clout. What do you make of Mairis' attempts to pull Jake Paul into a fight?
I need to see if he's got the tattoo and roll out now.
Is it real, the tattoo?
Is it?
For money, just for money. Because I don't have this small.
Okay. Oh, right.
You don't have boxes?
How is it? Downstairs.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
no problem, no problem.
And down.
Underpants.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant something else.
No, do you know what it is? For me, yeah.
Now you know secret.
I'll be honest with you. Boxing someone like Briedis and like being in a education match, it's like I genuinely I feel happy and blessed every time I fight because I've come. I don't want to turn into a sob story, but I've come from council housing, worked in McDonald's, changed my life, helping to change a lot of my family and friends' lives. So every time I go in and get a win, I feel happy and proud. I don't care how it comes because ultimately my dad's here, my mum's going to be watching at home, and I don't want to start getting too emotional, but it's a blessing. So now that, you know, even talks of unification, that is something that was so far-fetched to me when I was overweight, when I was back in Hackney. It's a blessing. So like I said, for me, you've got something like Briedis who comes showing a lot of respect. It's going to be a proper war of champions. You know, today was a bit like, I think I was too emotionally charged with the whole Poland versus Nigeria versus England. But Briedis will be a great boxing spectacle. So let's see if we can make it happen.
Could we get head-to-head?
If you want.
Of course, you can. But also what I want to say, in England, what I saw, you know, here is very crazy people, you know, when I walk around, crazy I mean in a good mean. And here is I think, what I know, boxing is born here. And here love everybody boxing, you know, speak about boxing. And in Latvia, everybody's shy, say hi, something like this. Here, people, oh, there is Mairis, come on, let's make photo. No, there's very open mind, you know, and yeah. Why I'm here, because I like, my kids live here, twins, in UK. And that's why, you know, it's like second home, and I need to try, make here. And my goal is to make full O2 Arena. Not half, but full. And I believe with Okolie we can do this. And this will be amazing energy, what we feel all time when I box.
Mairis, sorry, you dropped a diss track on Jake Paul. Do you know Lawrence raps?
When I was first time, I never believed myself because I don't sing. I don't have a voice for singing. And but we made this song for 30 minutes, and this guy who making computer this everything, you know, clean. And he said, I wait you back. Maybe you try something very funny. McDonald's, Okolie, and strong punch, and yeah, we will see.
Lawrence, have you got something for that?
For me, I'll be right in the studio tonight.
You go first.
Freestyle.
Guys, I just want to say thank you very much for attending on Sunday. Really appreciate it. Great atmosphere, great show. Ladies and gentlemen, the WBO World Champion Lawrence Okolie.
Go in the middle.
Good side.
Yeah.
Well, when there's two champions, what do you call it?
And hey guys.
Yeah. Cool. Love.
Thank you guys.
Briedis champ. Briedis champ. Briedis champ. Oh, Briedis champ.
Big foot.
Briedis champ.
Big foot.